I knew I was done the second I saw Brett Fisher walking toward the conference room with that pristine manila folder tucked under his arm like he was carrying launch codes. December 22nd, 3 days before Christmas, and this 29-year-old Silicon Valley hotshot was about to make the biggest tactical error of his short corporate career. My name is Wade Carson. I'm 51 years old, and I've been running operations at Summit Peak Transport for 15 years. I knew exactly how this meeting was going to play out before Brett even pulled out his ergonomic chair. The executive conference room was all glass and steel, sealed tight against the Denver winter. Outside, the first snow of the season was starting to dust the Rockies. The heater was cranked up like we were in a bunker, and some generic holiday music was trickling through the ceiling speakers. Brett didn't make eye contact when he walked in, too busy adjusting his designer glasses and placing that folder on the mahogany table with surgical precision. This guy had been our CEO for exactly 6 months. I'd been here since Summit Peak had 75 trucks instead of 450. He was the golden boy brought in by Apex Capital Partners after they bought us out last spring. They had big plans for operational optimization, which in corporate speak means cutting anything that doesn't show up on a quarterly spreadsheet. Wade, Brett said, finally looking up with those pale blue eyes that reminded me of winter sky before a storm front moves in. We're pivoting toward a more streamlined operational framework. After conducting a comprehensive analysis of departmental redundancies, your position has been identified as non-essential moving forward. Non-essential. That's what he called the guy who built Storm Tracker Pro from the ground up. The system that routes our entire 450 truck fleet through Colorado mountain passes, predicts weather patterns 72 hours out, manages DOT compliance for hazmat loads, and saves this company roughly $60,000 every single month. I didn't flinch, just sat there, hands folded, watching the Stanford MBA try to dismantle what I'd spent 15 years building from my experience as an Army logistics sergeant in Iraq and Afghanistan. He slid the folder across the table. Standard separation package, 6 weeks severance, health insurance continuation, standard non-disparagement agreement. However, we'll need immediate knowledge transfer. I'm requiring all administrative credentials, system access codes, and master authentication protocols for Storm Tracker before you leave today. Storm Tracker. He said it like it was just another piece of software like QuickBooks or something. He had zero understanding that Storm Tracker was the central nervous system of our entire mountain operation. Every route calculation, every weather prediction, every fuel optimization and driver safety protocol ran through algorithms I'd written based on 15 years of Colorado winter logistics. I can't do that, I said quietly. The silence felt heavy, like the air pressure dropping before a blizzard. Brett stopped reaching for his coffee and frowned. Excuse me. I said I can't do that. I can't hand over what doesn't belong to you. Brett's face went red. He leaned forward, trying to look intimidating in that tech bro way. Wade, let's be absolutely clear here. The intellectual property belongs to Summit Peak Transport. Refusing to provide company system credentials constitutes insubordination and potential theft of proprietary information. That voids your severance package and opens you up to legal action. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my security badge. 15 years of badge swipes and late-night emergency calls, edges worn smooth from handling. I placed it gently on the conference table. You're terminating my employment, Brett. That's your decision to make. But regarding those credentials you're demanding, I'm telling you the absolute truth. I cannot provide access to what doesn't legally belong to you. He jabbed the intercom button, security to the executive conference room. Please. 2 guards showed up within minutes. I knew both of them. Randy Coleman had been here almost as long as I had. He looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Mr. Carson is refusing to comply with standard offboarding protocols, Brett announced. Please escort him to collect personal items only, then off the premises. Randy looked at me with genuine regret. Wade, I'm sorry about this. It's all right, Randy. I understand. I stood up and straightened my jacket, leaving that manila folder sitting right there on the table. Brett had expected resistance, maybe some pleading or negotiation. He didn't know how to process someone who just accepted the inevitable with military calm. The walk to my desk felt like a final patrol. The office was decorated for Christmas, garland around the cubicles, blinking lights, the whole civilian holiday setup. People looked up as I passed. In an office this size, word travels faster than a weather front. At my desk, I didn't touch the computer or the stacks of operational reports. Just picked up my coffee mug with the 82nd Airborne logo and a framed photo of Maria and the girls from Ashley's high school graduation. That was it. I'd been sanitizing personal files for weeks, knowing this storm was coming. That everything, Randy asked softly, that's everything that belongs to me. We walked past the operations center. Through the glass partition, I could see the big monitors showing green status indicators across the board. Green meant trucks moving efficiently, routes optimized, freight flowing smoothly through mountain passes. It was a beautiful sight, all that synchronized logistics running on code I'd written line by line during countless Colorado winters. Brett thought he was firing an outdated operations manager. He didn't realize he was about to disconnect the weather radar in the middle of storm season. In the elevator, Randy didn't get in with me. Just badged the panel so I could reach the lobby. "Take care, Wade," he said quietly before the doors closed. "You too, Randy. Merry Christmas." My phone buzzed as the elevator descended. Text from Dustin Martinez, one of the senior dispatchers. They're asking for storm tracker access codes. What should I tell them? I typed back. Tell them to contact Mountain Weather Solutions, LLC. That text was going to make perfect sense in about 6 hours. Let me back up and explain how we got to this point. Summit Peak Transport didn't always smell like corporate sanitizer and quarterly anxiety. 15 years ago, when Rex Parker still ran the company, it smelled like diesel fuel and mountain air. We operated out of a converted warehouse where the coffee was strong and the work was honest. I wasn't some fancy operations manager back then. I was the guy they called at 2 a.m. when a late-season blizzard shut down I-70, and we had $200,000 worth of oil field equipment stranded in the mountains with nowhere to go. I'd started as a senior dispatcher at 36. Yeah, late bloomer in civilian logistics. Spent my 20s in the Army, learned the hard way that moving supplies through hostile territory requires more than good intentions and a GPS unit. When I mustered out in 2008, Rex Parker gave me a chance based on my military logistics experience. Rex was old-school military himself. Korean War veteran who understood that the people who solve problems at 3 a.m. in sub-zero conditions are worth their weight in gold. Mission first, people always, he used to say, that's how Storm Tracker was born. Not in some corporate think tank, but during crisis after crisis where our old routing software just couldn't handle Rocky Mountain winter complexity. I remember February 2012 when a surprise ice storm shut down every major pass from Denver to Grand Junction. Our competitors were dead in the water, but I spent 84 straight hours rebuilding our routing logic in real time. I created algorithms that pulled live weather data from NOAA, cross-referenced it with road conditions, fuel prices, driver hours of service, and equipment capabilities. The system automatically generated alternate routes that kept our entire fleet moving while everyone else was parked. When the storm cleared and the numbers came in, Rex walked over to my desk. "Outstanding work, Sergeant," he said, using my old Army rank like he always did. Keep the wheels turning. That was Rex. No flashy bonuses. No corporate recognition ceremonies. Just acknowledgement that I'd kept the mission alive when it mattered most. From that point forward, I stopped patching the old system and started building something completely new. Storm Tracker was designed for real-world mountain logistics, altitude changes, sudden weather shifts, dot inspection points, fuel availability, driver fatigue regulations in extreme conditions. I taught it to think like a veteran mountain dispatcher with 30 years of winter experience. But as the years went by and the company grew, moving from that warehouse to this glass tower downtown, I realized something that cut deep to the executives who came and went. I was just infrastructure. Necessary, sure, but basically invisible, like the servers humming in the computer room or the generators in the basement. The new managers got performance bonuses for landing contracts that my system made possible. They got invited to strategic planning retreats where they decided the company's future. I just got annual reviews that said meets expectations and the quiet satisfaction of preventing disasters every single day. The real wake-up call came in 2019. We had a compliance issue when one of our drivers got caught in a random dot inspection with a load that was technically overweight for the route he was taking. Instead of investigating properly, management wanted a scapegoat. They tried to pin it on Storm Tracker system failure. I spent 12 hours digging through server logs and GPS data, found the truth. The driver had manually overridden the system's weight-based routing recommendation because he wanted to get home faster. My system had worked exactly as designed, flagging the violation and recommending the appropriate route for his load weight. When I presented the evidence, the lawyers went quiet and the disciplinary action disappeared. but nobody apologized. Nobody said thanks for saving us from federal penalties and insurance claims. That's when I realized loyalty was a one-way street in modern corporate America. So I started building insurance, not sabotage, not some backdoor virus, just legal protection. In 2018, with Rex's full knowledge and blessing, I restructured StormTracker's architecture. The core prediction algorithms were isolated and hosted through a separate business entity, Mountain Weather Solutions, LLC. Rex understood that private equity vultures were circling, and when they swooped in, they'd try to strip everything valuable and auction it off. You do what you need to do to protect the mission, Rex told me when I explained the setup. These corporate raiders don't understand that you can't run Mountain Logistics from a conference room in Manhattan. Summit Peak could access StormTracker's interface and receive routing recommendations, but the actual decision-making engine lived on Mountain Weather Solutions servers. For 4 years, it worked perfectly. Summit Peak paid the monthly licensing fee, $15,000 a month, just another line item in the operational budget. Nobody questioned it because the trucks kept rolling and the profits kept climbing. Then came the acquisition in March 2023. Apex Capital brought in Brett Fisher and his whole crew of optimization consultants. They looked at our operation and saw inefficiencies to eliminate, costs to cut, redundancies to streamline. The first thing they did was conduct a comprehensive vendor review, which meant questioning every expense over $1,000. Brett was one of those MBA types who thought every problem could be solved with better algorithms and cheaper labor. Fresh from Stanford, probably never worked a day in actual operations, but full of theories about synergistic cost reduction and automated decision-making. The Mountain Weather Solutions invoice got flagged in his review. Brett saw a monthly payment for advanced routing optimization and assumed it was some consulting contract for a project that was already completed. He put the payment on hold to see if anyone would notice. I could have walked into his office and explained the whole arrangement. A loyal employee would have warned him that he was about to cut the fiber optic cable to his own operations center. But Brett had made his priorities crystal clear from day one. He'd already terminated 2 warehouse managers with 35 years of combined experience because their salaries were above market median. He'd cut our night dispatch team from 6 people to 2, leaving drivers stranded when problems developed after hours, so I didn't say anything. I just watched the Mountain Weather Solutions invoice sit in accounts payable, unpaid, while the system kept running on cached data and algorithmic momentum. According to the licensing agreement I'd written, after 60 days of non-payment, service would terminate automatically. Brett thought he was saving $15,000 a month. He was actually building the legal foundation for his own operational catastrophe. By the time he walked into that conference room with his Manila folder, the license had been expired for exactly 60 days. Every query from Summit Peak to Mountain Weather Solutions servers was being logged as unauthorized access. Every routing calculation was technically theft of intellectual property. Brett thought he was firing a redundant middle manager. He was actually terminating the only person who could legally authorize continued use of the system that ran his entire winter operation. I walked out of that building knowing exactly what was about to happen. The system didn't crash immediately. That's the thing about complex, distributed systems. They have operational momentum. Cached weather data and route calculations kept everything running for about 4 hours after my termination. The real problems started around 6 p.m. when the authentication tokens expired and the system tried to refresh its connection with Mountain Weather Solutions servers. It began at our Pueblo hub when a dispatcher named Carlos tried to route a flatbed hauling wind turbine components up to a job site near Vail. Instead of the usual cheerful confirmation beep, his screen flashed red. API compaction refused, launch expert. He tried again, same error, called his supervisor. Within 30 minutes, it was spreading through the entire network like a system virus. In the IT department, panic set in fast. Brett had brought in his own technology manager after the acquisition, some guy named Jason Mills who'd worked at a software company managing their customer database. Software development and logistics operations are about as similar as tennis and mountaineering. They both involve coordination, but that's where the resemblance ends. Jason was staring at walls of red error messages, shouting orders to restart servers and clear system caches. His team was frantically typing commands, trying to force connections that would never work again. Bounce the authentication service, Jason yelled. Clear all temporary files and restart the API gateway. What they didn't understand was that every failed login attempt was being automatically logged by Mountain Weather Solutions servers as evidence of attempted unauthorized access. By 7 p.m., the operations floor was complete chaos. The radio calls started coming in from drivers all across Colorado. Dispatch, my route guidance just disappeared. I'm hauling drilling equipment to a site near Aspen, and the system won't tell me which passes are open. Base, this is Unit 47. I'm at the way station in Lyman, and they can't generate my permits because your computer system is down. I've got perishable freight here. What's my move? Brett stormed around the operations center, like a general whose entire army had gone deaf. He was screaming at dispatchers to go manual, as if you could run modern mountain logistics with CB radios and paper maps during the Christmas shipping surge. The first customer call came at 8 p.m., ConocoPhillips wondering why 15 truckloads of drilling equipment had gone dark on their tracking system. The penalty clause in their contract was $2,000 per hour for delayed deliveries. Simple math. 15 trucks times $2,000 equals $30,000 every hour. This continued. By 8:30, Schlumberger was on the phone, then Halliburton, then Encana. Every major energy company that depended on Summit Peak for equipment transport was seeing red lights on their dashboards and asking the same question. What happened to your system? Brett called an emergency meeting in the same conference room where he'd fired me 6 hours earlier. He dragged in Jason Mills, the operations director, and anyone else who looked like they might have answers. Why is everything down? Brett demanded, pointing at the wall monitor that usually showed a beautiful map of green dots representing moving trucks. Now it looked like a medical emergency room. We're locked out, Jason stammered. The routing engine is rejecting all authentication attempts. It's saying our license is invalid. That's impossible, Brett snapped. We own the software actually, sir. One of the junior developers spoke up nervously. I've been examining the code repository. The routing algorithms aren't stored locally. It's all API calls to an external system called Mountain Weather Solutions. Brett's face went pale. What do you mean external? I mean, we don't have the source code for the actual routing calculations. We just have the user interface. All the heavy computational work happens on servers we don't control. The room went dead silent. You could hear the holiday music still playing through the ceiling speakers, some instrumental version of Silent Night that made the whole disaster feel surreal. Overfry it, Brett hissed. I don't care how. Clone the database, reverse engineer the API calls, just get those status lights green. We can try, Jason said, but without valid authentication keys, we're essentially attempting to hack into their system. That could constitute computer fraud. Brett looked ready to explode. This was supposed to be his moment of triumph, cutting costs, optimizing operations, showing the Apex Capital Board that he was worth every penny of his inflated salary. Instead, he was watching his entire operation collapse in real time. That's when my phone rang. I was sitting in my living room watching the snow accumulate outside my window and checking weather forecasts for the next 48 hours. The caller ID showed a number I'd been expecting. Paige Williams, Harrison and Associates. The voice said, she was the intellectual property attorney I'd contacted 8 months earlier when I first suspected the acquisition might go badly. How bad is it? She asked. They've been hemorrhaging money for 6 hours and making unauthorized intrusion attempts every few minutes. Every failed login is being logged as evidence. Perfect. We've been monitoring their breach attempts since 6:15 p.m. They've made over 340 unauthorized access attempts in the last 4 hours. At $750 per violation, that's already $255,000 in statutory penalties. I smiled. Brett thought he saved the company $15,000 a month by canceling the licensing agreement. Instead, he's about to owe more than he makes in 2 years. I'm sending the cease and desist notice to their board of directors first thing tomorrow morning, Paige replied. This should be educational for everyone involved. The beautiful thing about good engineering is predictability. You build systems that behave exactly as designed. Brett had engineered his own tactical disaster. He just didn't realize he'd already stepped into his own trap. Meanwhile, 180 miles south in Pueblo, Carlos was still trying to route that wind turbine shipment. His computer screen kept flashing red refusal messages. Behind him, $3 million worth of Christmas shipping was sitting motionless, waiting for a routing brain that had been surgically removed by a man who thought he was performing efficiency surgery. The patient was flatlining, and the surgeon was still holding the scalpel. By 10 p.m., Brett was ready to negotiate. Not through proper legal channels, of course. He sent me a text message like we were old army buddies. Wade, I think there's been a miscommunication about the transition process. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow morning? I'm sure we can resolve this professionally. I forwarded the message to Paige Williams. She replied immediately. Ex parte communication with a represented party. He's digging his legal grave deeper with every move. The next morning, December 23rd, Paige sent a formal demand letter to Summit Peak's board of directors. It outlined the unauthorized access penalties, which had accumulated to $427,500 for 18 hours of attempted system breaches, plus a $200,000 reconnection fee for immediate service restoration. Total demand, $627,500. The board called an emergency meeting at 9 a.m. I wasn't there, but I heard about it later through legal discovery. Brett tried to frame it as sabotage, claiming I'd planted malicious code in the system. That's when Rex Parker showed up. Rex had been in retirement for 3 years, living quietly on a ranch outside Colorado Springs. But when the board called asking if Brett was lying or just incompetent, the old colonel drove up to set the record straight. I authorized that contract, Rex told them, slapping the original Mountain Weather Solutions agreement on the polished conference table. Wade came to me in 2018 and said we needed to protect our core systems from people who don't understand mountain logistics. Turns out he was absolutely right. Rex looked Brett straight in the eye. You terminated the architect without securing the blueprints. That's not sabotage, son. That's operational stupidity. The room went quiet when Rex pulled out his tablet and showed them Brett's digital signature on the Mountain Weather Solutions renewal from 13 months earlier. Brett had personally approved the payment, acknowledging it as critical operational infrastructure in his own vendor review notes. You knew it was an external dependency, the board chairman said, his voice deadly calm. You authorized the payments, you acknowledged the relationship, and then you terminated it without any transition planning. Brett tried to salvage his position. We can rebuild it internally. The core algorithms can't be that complex. We'll hire consultants, bring in developers. That's when Jason Mills, his own IT manager, threw him completely under the bus. Actually, sir, we've completed our analysis. The Summit Peak system is essentially a sophisticated remote control. All the actual processing happens on external servers. We don't have the source code. We don't have the weather models. We don't have 15 years of Colorado-specific optimization data. It would take 3 years and $8 million to rebuild from scratch. The chairman stood up. Brett, leave the room. Security will escort you out. We'll discuss your separation package tomorrow. You can't do this. Brett protested. I'm the CEO. I was hired to optimize operations. You optimized us right into a crisis, Rex Parker growled. You amputated the navigation system and expected the convoy to keep moving. Brett looked around the room for allies, found none. Every board member was staring at their phones, calculating how much this disaster was going to cost in customer penalties, stock price drops, and emergency consulting fees. Within 2 hours, the board had approved Paige's settlement terms. Summit Peak would pay $627,500 to cover statutory penalties and secure a new 5-year licensing agreement with Mountain Weather Solutions. The contract included enhanced IP protections and gave me full audit rights over their system usage. When the wire transfer hit my business account at 1:45 p.m. on December 23rd, I typed a single command into my secure terminal, restore service full organization. On the operations floor at Summit Peak, the red error messages flickered and went green. API connections reestablished. Authentication handshakes completed successfully. Carlos in Pueblo finally got his cheerful confirmation beep when he routed that wind turbine shipment. But the damage was already done. Summit Peak had lost $890,000 in customer penalty fees during the 20-hour outage. 4 major clients had activated their backup carriers for the remainder of the shipping season. The stock price dropped 12% when news of the system failure reached industry publications. Brett Fisher was escorted out the same way he'd escorted me, with security guards in a cardboard box. The difference was when I left, I took my life's work with me. When he left, he took nothing but a reputation for spectacular failure that would follow him through every future job interview. I didn't feel triumph exactly, more like the satisfaction of a mission accomplished under hostile conditions. They'd tried to treat me like obsolete equipment, but in the end they learned something important about the difference between owning a building and owning the foundation it sits on. These days, I run Mountain Weather Solutions as an independent consulting firm. Summit Peak still pays me $18,000 per month for Storm Tracker licensing, a 20% premium over the old rate, and they never miss a payment. Other companies have started reaching out too, wanting to protect their core systems from the kind of corporate destruction that nearly killed Summit Peak. I've got both girls' college tuition covered at Colorado State. Ashley's studying engineering, following in the old man's footsteps in her own way. Nicole's going pre-med, says she wants to fix people instead of systems. Maria and I refinance the house at a better rate, and I sleep well knowing that no Stanford MBA with a spreadsheet can take away what I've built. The settlement money went into 3 buckets, a third for taxes, a third for the girls' education, and a third into expanding Mountain Weather Solutions. I've hired 2 other experienced logistics managers who got pushed out by optimization, guys like me who built systems that actually work but got fired by kids who think algorithms can replace experience. We specialize in extreme weather routing for energy companies now. When a blizzard shuts down the Rockies or an ice storm hits the Dakotas, we're the ones keeping the oil field equipment moving and the power grid supplied. It's honest work that saves lives and keeps America running. The best part, every Christmas I get a card from Rex Parker. This year it came with a photo of him on his ranch and a simple message: outstanding work, Sergeant, mission accomplished. Brett Fisher, last I heard, was working for a small logistics company in Omaha. His LinkedIn profile still lists him as a results-driven operational executive, but the results he drove at Summit Peak speak for themselves. Sometimes I drive by the Summit Peak building on my way to client meetings. The trucks are still rolling, the system is still humming, and somewhere on the 11th floor, the operations monitors are glowing green. Storm Tracker is still doing what I designed it to do, keeping the wheels turning through Rocky Mountain winters, one optimized route at a time. The difference is now they know exactly what it's worth, and more importantly, they know who really built it. What I learned from all this is simple. Loyalty works both ways, or it doesn't work at all. Companies will cut you loose the second you become inconvenient. So you better make sure you're not just convenient. You better make yourself essential. Not through politics or brown nosing, but by building something so valuable and so well protected that they can't afford to lose you. The corporate world likes to talk about being a family, but families don't fire each other 3 days before Christmas. Real families protect each other when times get tough. If your company won't treat you like family, don't treat them like family either. Treat them like a business relationship, because that's all it ever was. You don't fire the meteorologist and expect to predict the weather. That's just not how mountain logistics works, and sometimes, if you're smart about it, you can teach them that lesson in a way they'll never forget. In the mountains, you don't survive by following the latest weather app. You survive by reading the signs that only experience can teach you. Corporate America keeps forgetting that some knowledge can't be downloaded, only earned through years of getting your hands dirty and your boots muddy. They'll call you outdated until the storm hits. Then suddenly, that old-fashioned expertise they wanted to replace with algorithms becomes the only thing standing between success and disaster. The smart ones learn to respect the weatherman before they need him to save their lives.